Truth-Censored number 43. It's entitled Rush Limbaugh, The Way Things Are. A culture war between liberals and conservatives is raging in the United States. Censored is on one side of this issue, and WABC radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh is on the other. Censored is a small voice crying out against this 50,000-watt loudmouth of the airways. In this cultural war, Limbaugh claims that religion is on his side, that morals spring from religious soil. Rush Limbaugh is an Ayn Rand who believes in God, but Rush is not a Christian. Rand and Limbaugh share the same philosophy of not believing in sacrifice, brotherly love. They love their lives too much. John 12, verse 25, "He that loves his life shall lose it, and he that hates his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal." Rush Limbaugh has made a success of bashing all liberal causes. His liberal bashing never stops. His egomania is incessant. He claims to have talent on loan from God. What talent? One hears nothing but rhetoric and liberal bashing on the show and talking up Republican talking points. Limbaugh claims that conservatives are a rugged, individualistic bunch who don't need government. They can make it on their own. The political fact is that liberals spring from rugged, individualistic soil. Conservatives are ass-kissers for business. Their deregulation is regulation in their favor, and they are forever seeking tax breaks. They also need a bloated army to protect their crooked business practices. Rush Limbaugh has developed his own non-static form of conservatism. The dictionary definition is not for him. After listening to the Rush Limbaugh show for a while, one learns that anything he determines to be conservative is conservative. Anything he disagrees with is liberal, democratic, leftist, or communistic. Government help to the needy is bad, and a bloated defense budget is good. Today, conservatives and Republicans have made defense spending one of their sacred cows. But in the 1930s, cheap conservative Republicans kept us unprepared for World War II. Limbaugh tells his audience that environmentalists, feminists, and the homeless are all liberal leftist causes. They are meant, in some way or another, to interfere with American business. Some call Limbaugh smart, but his smartness is that of the con man. Rush Limbaugh is a college dropout who for 17 years was a failure at his profession. In the last few years, he has hit it big, however. According to his philosophy, he should not be enjoying success. Because Rush maintains that if something is good, people will support it. If an artist paints wholesome pictures, people will support him, and he won't need a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. This philosophy takes no account of a learning or a growing period when the person struggles to survive in the pursuit of his art. According to Rush Limbaugh's philosophy, his 17 years of failure should have told him to seek other employment. History shows us that people rarely ever support the good, the wholesome, or even the truth. A case in point is Limbaugh's bestseller, The Way Things Ought to Be. The book is superficial, flag-waving trash. And it was written by someone other than Rush Limbaugh. About his show, Limbaugh says the idea is to have fun, not to further any agenda or take advantage of any political opportunity. That's a lie. When listening to Rush Limbaugh, one must keep in mind what Freud said in Wit and the Unconscious: many truths are said in jest. Rush Limbaugh is not schooled in science, yet he continuously, by force of personality alone, tries to prove stupid points. He quotes Ronald Reagan that there is as much forest today as was here when George Washington was at Valley Forge. The U.S. Forest Service says only 30% of the forest land of 1775 was still preserved in 1983. On many occasions, Rush Limbaugh has called Oliver North a hero, without informing his audience that North is a nut. In 1974, Oliver North was hospitalized because he had been running around naked, screaming incoherently, and brandishing a gun. Most anything Rush Limbaugh says about Democrats or liberals can be said about conservatives and Republicans. When Bill Clinton was elected president, Limbaugh claimed the campaign was an example of symbols over substance. This is exactly what occurred in the two Reagan campaigns and George H.W. Bush's 1988 fiasco. Rush Limbaugh is a bigot. He and some of his liberal defenders deny this, but it's true. Limbaugh is an elitist, as are all conservatives. One can listen to his show for 1 week and hear that this is true. Limbaugh, as did Ronald Reagan, defers to the rich. Limbaugh pretends to be a friend of the middle class. This is baloney. Limbaugh cries poor mouth for the rich, protecting his turf. Rich conservatives and most Republicans don't want to pay their fair share of taxes, like Leona Helmsley. They don't want to pay any taxes. Only the little people pay taxes, because there are more of them. Limbaugh's bigotry has him claiming that those on the bottom rung of the economic ladder are there because they don't want to work, or because they are not special. Anyone with half his brain not tied behind his back, knows that we get ahead in this world due to environment, opportunity, influence peddling, and good luck. A quick glance at our government makes it clear we don't make the big bucks because we are skillful or smart. Limbaugh's bigotry may not be directed at the color of one's skin, but it is directed at one's wallet. Rush Limbaugh's conservative philosophy does not come from a healthy place. This year alone, the rotund yippie nerd has had at least 10 respiratory infections. He is also plagued by a nervous tic, which has him constantly banging his hands on his desk. This is a clear indication of repressed sexual impulses at work. As said earlier, Limbaugh dislikes the poor. Those his Lord came to and said would always be with us. Rush's conservative philosophy flies in the face of true Christianity. Matthew 5, verse 42 says, "Give to him that asks of you." Or 1 Corinthians 13, verse 8, "Charity never fails." And Colossians 3, verse 14, "Charity is the bond of perfectness." Zechariah 7, verse 10, "Don't oppress the poor." The Bible is full of admonishments to help the poor. Limbaugh's Christianity of not giving spare change to the homeless does not square with true Christianity. In Job 22, verse 7, we are told that it is a sin to withhold bread from the hungry. Limbaugh also wrongly states that male aggression, competition, and power are God-given attributes. But the Bible says these are the ways of Satan. Rush Limbaugh is a hypocrite. He has little credibility. He claims to be right nearly 100% of the time, but he is actually like a stopped clock that is right twice a day. Limbaugh's fans need to study Job 32, verse 9. Great men are not always wise. To Limbaugh, business can do no wrong. Anyone who tries to put crooked business straight is a leftist who is interfering in the economy. In his stance against environmentalist wackos, he has again not conveniently read the Bible. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 9 says, "The profit of the earth is for all." The misguided Limbaugh tries to wisecrack his way out of tough positions, and he cleverly avoids those who can show him up. Limbaugh's constant blubbering about conservative self-reliance is a sham. He doesn't do his own cooking, shopping. He's a classic example of a dependent personality. Like some kings of old who couldn't even dress themselves. His telephone poles are skewed. The core of his audience proves daily to be stupid and greedy people. clingers who need to be spoon-fed their politics. Limbaugh proudly exclaims that he will do all their thinking for them. The magnanimous Limbaugh forgave every lie and deceit of the Reagan presidency and nearly all of those of the Bush years. Rush Limbaugh is a dangerous man because he makes giving up liberties attractive to his audience. He charms his audience into accepting a Republican police state. Limbaugh believes he can talk his way out of any problem. It's clear he talked his way out of all his marriages. To Limbaugh, liberals and Democrats can do no good. He preaches the lie of the Reagan years that tax cuts benefit the economy. He fails to inform his audience that this only holds true when the consuming portion of the economy gets the tax cuts and spends the money. It doesn't help our economy when tax cuts go to the rich, the Michael Milkens, the Charles Keatings. Concentration of wealth in the hands of the rich leads to depression, said the economist Batra. Limbaugh now wants the Republicans to go on the offensive and constantly utter the big lie that the Reagan 80s were great for our economy. No matter how much he protests to the contrary, Limbaugh's show is filled with put-downs. Sometimes these are knee-jerk, or they are accomplished with humor. In any case, the show is a breeding ground for careening falsehoods. The cultural war between conservatives and liberals has raged since the founding of our nation. Back then, there were Tories, Royalists, Patriots, and Radicals. This cultural war can never end. There can never be compromise between the two factions. Conservatism is a dependent philosophy which always looks to an authority or protector over its own experience. It demands institutionalized forms. Liberalism focuses on the individual and his experiences against the institutionalized forms and forces. The liberal uses the state for the benefit of the individual, while the conservative uses the state to benefit institutionalized forms. Conservatives are self-centered and greedy. They never met a tax they didn't like. Limbaugh plays to this angle in a typical yuppie nerd fashion. At bottom, the conservatives' aversion to taxes is a wish to destroy government and return to the days of the robber barons. They want to privatize everything. Historically, we know that not all things can nor should be privatized. The United States Postal Service is an example where privatization can't always work. The point of all this is that the economic lessons given out on the Rush Limbaugh show are bogus and dangerous. They turn out to be biased propaganda. Limbaugh indulges in class warfare from the top down, with the threat that if we hurt or tax the rich, how does that benefit us? To Limbaugh, the rich do no wrong, and we can all become rich if we just work hard enough. This is a lie. Through no fault of our own, some of us will never be rich. Some of us don't want to be rich. We measure our lives differently than greedy conservatives. Some of us pursue excellence in a more sane manner than that preached by Rush Limbaugh. In contrast to the economic lies of Rush Limbaugh, the tax cuts and massive defense spending of the 1980s are a direct cause of today's huge budget deficits. Those with growing incomes, with high incomes who rail against fair taxation are greedy profiteers without a social conscience. They lack all Christian feelings of brotherly love. They even seem to envy the poor and those on welfare. Now, our greedy citizenry wants those on welfare to work for their stipend. What kind of insanity is this? Every year in this country, people who want to work can't work because there are no jobs. But now, we want to give non-existent jobs to those on welfare. It's a sham. Do we ever attach meaning to what we say? Rush Limbaugh is a yuppie nerd who got a break, had good contacts, got a hit, and parlayed it into a merchandising bonanza. He was in the right place at the right time. Limbaugh is like some televangelists who sell us fantastic dreams which turn out to be lies, that are meant to keep our noses to the grindstone and to keep us spinning our wheels, to keep us from thinking. It's like a pyramid scheme where those on the top benefit from those on the bottom, from their work. And those on the bottom must be constantly motivated, so they'll work harder for those on the top. Those on the bottom rarely come to know that success is mostly a percentage game and a lot of luck. Limbaugh owes his existence to liberal philosophies. Individual liberty distinguishes the United States from all other countries. Liberal causes have made this country unique and great. If it were up to the Limbaughs of this country, blacks would still be riding in the back of the buses. Clarence Thomas wouldn't have made it to law school. As it has done in the past, conservatism can only stop growth and bring this country to a screeching halt. People like Rush Limbaugh must be checked and balanced. But Limbaugh bellows forth from over 600 and some radio stations daily. Censored is but a small voice in this arena. It is a truthful voice. And fortunately, without dictatorial control, lies can hold sway only for short periods of time. The Rush Limbaughs of this country can only be cute and entertaining for so long. Ultimately, An audience eventually cries out for substance. Real substance. Facts soon scream out and overwhelm historical revisionists like Rush Limbaugh. In the end, Rush Limbaugh may go the way of Morton Downey. We can only hope. The end.
Hi, this is William Morrow. Are you one of those people who join a health club, and after they have your big, overpriced annual membership, you notice that you're on your own with little or no results even after all the promises? Then the website Personal Trainer is for you.
Thank you very much, William H. Morrow III.
So you lost another argument with a conservative, right-wing Republican. He talked over you. He screamed and yelled. He brought out the Bible. He thumped it. He quoted scripture to you. You were lost because you came at him with facts. Nothing but facts. And you expected that would make you look good. That would make you win the argument, but it didn't. You know why you lost the argument? You know why you're going to lose your next argument? Because you don't read Censored. Censored, the 30-year-old newsletter that shows you how to defeat a conservative. Read Censored, and you'll have all the ammunition you need. Every time you get into an argument with a right-wing conservative, so-called Christian. Censored, that's all you need. Read it, and defeat a conservative.
Greetings, listeners. Let me speak to you for a moment about the foundation of our entire organization, Newsletters Censored. It was founded by our mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, in 1977. It discusses the 5 taboos of American life: politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media and the press. It reveals the kind of truth that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? We are living in the end times, so in order to defeat a conservative and save America, you need Newsletters Censored. Go to www.newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form page, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription. This is James P. Madonna of Megalife 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet.